Welcome everyone, another episode of Motorsport Republica. We're on tour today. Got our special guest Damian Cudlin from the Sherwood Estate here.
I hope that sign's in the background too.
Oh, mate.
It definitely is. It definitely
Definitely
is.
give you a good plug. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah,
you're
thank
welcome.
you, mate.
Yeah, thanks for making the journey up. You guys have had a big day already.
Yeah, it was a 4 a.m. start, a
Yeah.
Melbourne flight, and then a 5-hour drive. So it's been a big
I
one.
All
applaud
worth
your
it.
commitment, that's for sure.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
We do anything for motorcycling in Australia. That's what we do. What's been going on? How's life?
Life's good, mate. Life's keeping me busy here at the Sherwood Estate. As you can see, it's a lot of time I've got to spend on the mower these days.
Definitely.
But look, I'm actually quite enjoying it, to be honest. Like, I know it probably sounds a bit funny, but doing something that's non-motorcycle related for a change for me has actually been kind of nice, you know. So I enjoy doing what I'm doing here, and glad you guys could see it.
Yeah, this place is beautiful.
Yeah, it's an absolutely stunning place, mate. Again, we appreciate you having us in.
No worries. It didn't take much convincing to have that first beer anyway, did it?
No. I think it was a second pause before I said yes, so I appreciate that. Thanks for hospitality.
The whole way up, Tom was like, "There needs to be
Thirsty.
beers. There needs to be beers."
Yeah, we should have planned this bit better. For the next one, you have to make it an overnighter.
I think so, yeah,
for
definitely.
sure. Yeah. Are you still in contact with the bike industry these days, or?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm still involved with it, with the Motostart stuff, you know, like all the training and events and coaching days and things that I still do. So like, I am still got a toe in the pond there, but as I'm getting older and more and more focus is shifting to this place, and but I'm still a mad obsessed bike nut, you know. I still love watching it. Haven't been doing a lot of the Fox Sports stuff recently this year, but I still haven't missed much of it, you know. Like, I've still watched almost every session all year because I just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
So what's Motorstars look like for you? Is it a monthly event? Is it a weekly event? Is it something you are on all the time? Or?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, when it started, I guess the motivation was about the time I was coming home from Europe and kind of retiring or looking to retire, and I was looking at what I'm going to do next. And one of the things that I noticed in Europe the most was just how good the junior programs were, you know, like, and how many good juniors and that were over there. And I realised, like, this place didn't really have much of that going on it at all. So that was why I started it, and that's where that all kicked off. And in the beginning, you know, but I guess because it was so new, it was pumping, it was thriving, you know, like every kid who wanted to try road race and come to us. I mean, they still do, but in the beginning, because it was so new, it was really popular. And then, and then COVID hit, that kind of stuffed all the momentum that we kind of had. And then since then, I guess there's other series and other things that are, available to them now. So they've got at least a lot more choice than they had when I started, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly, like the Oceania Cup. Have you been involved in that?
Yeah.
It
helps, sort of, I was there in the original Oceania Junior Cup, and I coached for a couple of years, and, that's seen some good talent come out of that now too. Definitely. You can see those guys. And it always takes a couple of years for that sort of fruit to come through, and you can see it now. Carter Thompson, he won the first Oceania Junior Cup championship, and he's in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. He could be a potential kid in Moto 3 soon, you know, so it definitely works.
Definitely. So just talk us through as well, like, we've obviously got those awesome pathways now. What about when you were growing up? How, I guess, difficult was it maybe without those coming through the ranks for yourself?
Yeah, look, I wish there was a Red Bull Rookies Cup back then. For sure. You know, Asia Talent Cup. Like, those things I think are the best new things for young up-and-coming riders, particularly those that haven't got, endless finances behind them, like family money or something like that. Like, this is a chance for you to get in, be selected on your merit, on your speed, and your ability, on your size. Lots of those things are factors in the selection process, but like, you actually are given a shot. Like, it's a paid for ride, you know. I mean, you got to get yourself there. It's still going to cost you something over the season, but that was never around when I was a kid, you know. Having said that, I got to be honest, and I think it's even harder now for young young riders to make it onto the big stage, like in Grand Prix.
Okay.
Because when I was around, I mean, look, I remember sort of ambulance chasing, I'd call it. Like I'd go to BSB rounds or World Superbike meets, have a look in the ambulance, look who's got a broken arm. Oh, right, he's going to be out for a couple of races. I'll be dropping business cards in their pit box, and that's how I slid in a few times. And whereas now, it's a lot harder.
So competitive.
It is competitive.
All through the categories, yeah.
And sponsors make such a big difference. These guys are dragging sponsors with them to the teams and stuff, and so the finances certainly makes a big difference these days, unfortunately.
Yeah, it sucks in a way, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, I mean, I wish there was more sort of raw talent coming through, but at the end of the day, I still believe if you are exceptional, if you are that good, it can be done with no money.
Of course it can.
It can be done just like the route you said, like Asia Talent Cup, Red Bull Rookies Cup. I can tell you now, if you turn up there and dominate that thing, you will go into the Moto3 World Championship.
Yeah, you'll get a crack.
And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like that is a pathway for someone with no money, huge ability that can do it. But you've got to be over. You've got to be the man. You've got to be that good.
Well, it's interesting as well. Australia's got such a small population, realistically compared to football or whatever. Here, motorcycling isn't huge, but we're still able to have yourself in Grand Prix racing, Casey Stoners, Mick Doohan, people, Jack Miller, they've still dominated the world stage. So there's obviously a lot to it. And what we were talking about even before the pod, flat track's always a big thing. You see the rise in the 80s and the 90s. They were doing a whole lot of speedway, flat track, and that's so important to
100%.
Obviously any rider now. You look at Rossi's Ranch or Colin Edwards. They've all got flat track. That's what you have to do.
That's right. Yeah. And I mean, I think like one thing Australia does have going for it is, I mean, look around the properties here. Everyone in the country's got space. I don't get any complaints about noise of motorbikes out here, mate, because they've all got them too. So they all get a chance in the country out here for space, and they get a chance to ride. And they're not all locked up for 6 months of the year in snow and freezing conditions either. Like you could ride all year round. It's a bit hot outside at the moment, but you can still ride around. So like I think that is a big advantage for Aussie riders. I think that's why we've always been successful in it.
It's a great point.
But the business side of it is the hard bit. The business side of it. The sponsors, the audience, that's the hardest thing for Aussie riders, and it was always the hardest thing for me. I mean, I used to go to these teams, and I'd go expecting a paycheck. I've got to ride for money, and other guys were bringing money.
That's right.
And that suddenly makes you very expensive, when you're sticking your hand out,
Yeah. It's actually a great point you make, and when we were talking to Brian, Tom made a really good point, and I don't think any of us realizes how much you see people ride for the love of it, but they think about money. Like you kind of forget how important that is, because if you're not able to have a living, then what are we doing, And I think a lot of people forget that.
I mean, I guess it depends on your approach and maybe even your background, your personal situation and stuff. I mean, like when I went to Europe, my goal really was to earn a living racing motorbikes. That was it. I love racing motorbikes. I love traveling around. I loved, being in that arena and everything. And I thought if I could get paid and live off this, how good's that? And like that was the original goal. But it's funny how your goals change as you go along. Suddenly like just getting paid to race is okay, and then the next thing you want that factory ride, and then the next thing you get the factory ride, and it's not as good as you thought it was, and sometimes like now that I'm retired, I wish I had a bit more fun during that experience, a little bit. Like I do regret sometimes having that much pressure on, but we're all the same. We're all that same sort of beast. If you don't put that pressure on yourself, you don't do any good in the first place.
That's right. You're not going to get those rides.
Yeah. So I guess you got to have a balance and things, but it's a strange scenario. But yeah, like I think earning a living racing motorbikes is the best thing ever, and we enjoyed ourselves. Didn't get rich, so to speak, out of it, but certainly rich in life experience, and we saw the whole world and did what I got to do for a living, it was great, you know. And now I can look back and be sort of happy with that, you know.
Yeah, no, that's great, and you know that's awesome to hear. And how I'm kind of fascinated. How did you get into the Endurance World Championship? And I guess to follow up on that, how fucking hard is it to race 24 hours on a motorcycle?
Yeah. Well, I guess like it's fucking hard. I can tell you. The first part of that question, how did I get into it? Well, I got into it for the money.
Yeah, right.
Because back then, you know, in France, it's like the Le Mans 24 hour is the biggest race in France. I mean, it makes the MotoGP there look pretty average, you know. So, and I felt like I slipped in at a really good time. You know, I first went to England and I was looking for a job in BSB or something like that. Like I said, ambulance chasing. Look who was in the back. I replaced Cal Crutchlow once. You know, there was stuff.
That doesn't surprise me.
He was in the back of the ambulance. I'm like, oh, it's him again. And so I slid in there. And then what happened was there was a ride going in the endurance team, Phase 1 endurance. And they were, you know, they'd been around for a long time. They'd won world championships and that before. And my old teammate here in Australia, Tony Rees, had ridden for him. He was the older fella in the team back then, and I was only 17 or 18. Anyway, he said, look, you know, you should give Damo a go. He's over there floating around in England, and he'll ride anything. You know, he's desperate to get on. So I got in there, and I was there as a reserve rider, and in my practice session, I said to my wife Amy, I said, look, I've got to sort of show myself here, otherwise I won't get invited back, you know. And I sort of said to her, look, I'm either going to do a good lap time or I'm going to throw it over the fence, but I'm going to make it, you know, like I'm going to have a go, make them notice. And I got pole position in that session. And after that, they said, well, you know, you can stay around, you know, we'll have you for the next few races. And then I suddenly realised, wow, the money's good in this, you know. There's a big crowd, big audience, huge sponsors. And so that's why I got into endurance. Like, I never really went there with the target of being endurance world champion. I just thought, hey, this is a good way to make a few bucks. And I did that, and I got, you know, I was there for a long time.
Yeah,
you know?
It's amazing how little moments in your life can change everything. And especially we talk to a lot of motor racing people. That's that one lap, it's that one race, it's that one move that can change your whole career.
Yeah,
you know, it's just always sits on a...
Have those sliding doors sort of moments.
Right. Sits on the edge of a cliff, and you've one day you've got it, the next day you don't. It's just such a fickle game.
It is. There's a million stories like that I can tell you didn't work out so well. But yeah, you're right. You know, those opportunities are the things you got to sort of make the most of and grab them with both hands, because you never know when they're coming around again. And thankfully that was one that, got me a job there, and I rode for them for a couple of years, and then I rode for other teams, and, you know, I rode on and off in endurance for about, 2002 was the first time. So about 15 years in that game. And it was always something that I could always, even after MotoGP or anything, it was something I could go back to, you know, because I had runs on the board. So, endurance really paid our way in Europe for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's very cool.
I was going to say, it's probably something that flies a bit under the radar here as well. Like, we obviously get into it a little bit, but if you ask a lot of the other guys that we know, and it's not something that gets probably spoken about as much as it should.
Do you guys know who Josh Hook is?
Yep.
I've heard the name.
All right. So he's like 2-time world champion now. He's in the Endurance World Championship, 2 times world champion. He came in, I got him a ride with us actually when I was still riding FCC Honda. We were looking for a spare rider. Like, you need a spare rider in case someone spoons it in qualifying and hurts themselves. And so he was looking, he didn't really have much going on at the time, and he's from Taree, which is where I'm from originally. Yep. And I said to them, hey, give this young fella a go. And he came in, and like, you know, no flies on Josh. Like, he's fast, got up to speed real quick, and ended up getting a job there and turned into 2 world championships. Oh. So, but, you know, he's doing well for himself. And a lot of the general public don't probably even know, you know, who he is or what he's doing. But there you go. He's getting paid to race a motorbike, and a lot of guys are still paying to do it. So who's better off, you know? Yeah,
that's all right. So take us to 24-hour Le Mans. It's 3 a.m. You're riding around the track. What's it like?
Trickling with rain.
Yeah, exactly.
Misty.
2 degrees. Yeah. You know, the smoke from the from the campfires is hanging in the air. I mean, you come in and you look like a chimney sweep, from all the smoke that just hangs in the in the fog, know, and you got to put yourself in that position. Like, I got to say, if you guys ever get a chance to go to Le Mans, do it, because it's worth it for the party alone. Like what most people do, they get there, they watch the start, which is cool. Like it's 120, 130,000 people in the stands. They watch the start where you run across. That's where the Le Mans start came from. You run across the track, jump on the bike, go. They watch your first sort of stint because that's kind of exciting. They watch your first round of pit stops. Then they're like, right, let's go to the infield and get on the piss. And then they go in the infield. They've got, huge cover band, like, not just cover bands. I mean, like, big bands playing. It's like the big day out with a motorcycle race going on. That's mad. That goes through the night, and that's cool. What draws the people in, But to do it, it's crazy. I mean, there are times in that race where you, if it wasn't for 30 or 40 people out there who might beat the shit out of you if you don't get back on that bike, you probably wouldn't want to keep going. Yeah. I mean, I know there were times in the middle of the night where Amy would wake me up after having a sleep for 10 minutes and said, you got to get back on, and I'd be like, no way. But I guess that's what makes it cool. It's a bit like doing a marathon. You kind of hate it at the time, but as soon as it's over, you get that sense of relief, and a day later you're looking at how far away the next one is.
That's right. Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
Another one.
But I still have some nightmares for sure.
I definitely would.
You wake up in the middle of the night and oh god.
Oh, dude, yeah, 2 a.m. high side. They used to call that the graveyard shift, like sort of 3-4 o'clock in the morning. That sort of stage. That's when your body is sort of telling you that you're meant to be in that deep sleep sort of phase, and there's things you do even through the night as far as sleep goes. You can't sleep more than 15 minutes. If you do, you end up going into a deeper sleep. It's to do with chemicals released in your brain and all that shit. Yeah, I tell you, it's not fun when they wake you up and you're dead tired.
You'd want to smash someone.
Exactly. Yeah. So you do all that, and it's brutal. But then as the sun comes up, it's crazy. You can be absolutely rooted. But you see a bit of sun coming up, and it's like you get a second wind, and you kind of feel like, oh, we're almost there. In actual fact, you're going to keep riding until 3 p.m.
Yeah.
You're only just over halfway, really.
Because they call that golden hour, don't they, when the sun's rising up? Yeah.
You do. You just get a second wind, and you kind of you come good after that. But, just getting through the night in most cases is the hardest.
Underappreciated.
The hardest thing.
Oh, yeah. Underappreciated. I mean, I think of the car race when I think of 24-hour Le Mans.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's something definitely that, after speaking with you, is something we have to get over there and have
definitely. Road trip.
It's an absolute epic...
Claim it on tax.
Absolute epic party, mate. I'm telling you.
We like that.
Good times. I mean, I have... I've been there where my bike's blown up in the first couple of hours or something, And I've thought, well, we're here. Might as well get on the piss now,
And, into the infield.
Head on in. Had a great weekend.
That's unreal, man. That's so good.
But it's wild. It's like Mad Max. It's like
slept
Mad
well
Max.
that night.
Yeah. I mean, they turn up with like one of the things they do is the best lounge chair. Like you get something like this, just fit an R1 motor to the thing, put like a fucking megaphone exhaust on it.
No way.
Yeah. Just make as much noise as you can with it, and it's a thing they do over there. So it's crazy. It's Mad Max on the infield, but everyone survives. Everyone has a good time.
Oh yeah.
It drags loads of people in. That's for sure.
Oh, we're all about that. We're all about that.
Yeah.
So just back on that, like graveyard shift. What's track conditions like? That couldn't be easy at that time.
You'd be surprised because, like 2 o'clock in the morning, it's dark. And I mean, when I say dark, I don't mean like Qatar MotoGP dark, like where they're wearing tinted visors now, like with that much lighting. They have the lights off. So like you're riding around with your headlight on, which is pretty much useless because that's pointing straight ahead, and you're looking through the corner. And I mean, I've done laps there where they've had to put a board out and tell me my headlights off,
Oh,
Like,
no joke.
you haven't switched it on, or you've got a problem, and I haven't even fucking noticed.
Yeah, shit.
So
Jesus.
it's dark. That's one. So you think, how can they possibly go that fast? And then you see lap records are being broken in the middle of the night. And the first time you see that, you just think, this is just absolutely mental, you know. But as you do it more and more, you get more and more comfortable in doing it. And you've got to remember, by the time it goes dark, you've already been riding for 6 or 7 hours.
That's right.
So you can literally do that track fucking blindfolded.
Yeah, essentially,
Right?
it's the same thing.
And then the temperature comes down, so the air is cooler. You know, your bike's suddenly got more horsepower.
It runs better.
Runs better. The tyres work better, so you can run real super softs at night for an hour.
That's cool.
Whereas in the day, like, they'll be, you know, chewed up in 10 laps.
Cooked. Yeah.
So yeah, they actually go. A lot of times they go faster at night, which is
right on.
which is crazy. But I mean, that's just another cool thing. And I mean, just seeing those bikes go around at night,
Yeah,
it's sick.
it's
know.
cool. It's very
Brake
cool.
discs glowing,
Yep.
glowing red, and you know, all the exhaust backfiring. And
Yeah, it's unreal footage and photos.
cool.
It's
Yeah,
it is cool. Yeah.
yeah.
You just got to keep sniffing around. Like, I mean, the scariest thing is oil, you know, like, because if there is someone shits itself and there's oil everywhere,
you're gone.
well, you can't see it,
Well, exactly.
you know, and then you're relying on the flaggies who have already been standing around for 9 hours.
Yeah, they're starting to doze off as
You
well.
know what I mean? And they can only operate with their own eyesight, you know, like,
That's
so you literally start smelling,
start to try
sniffing
smells, yeah.
for oil, you know, and
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
scariest part of it, really.
That's unreal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is a race of attrition, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's like Paris Dakar or something, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just a different mindset,
Yeah.
you know, different
Yeah.
group of races.
It must be so different to when you jumped in and did some Grand Prix racing. What's
Yeah.
the differences like there?
Well, I mean, the difference from sprint to endurance, it's probably not as big as difference as you think. I mean, nowadays, it really and truly, endurance racing is like a sprint race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not until you get a 4 or 5 lap lead where you can start to go, okay, well, let's be a bit kinder on the, let's go a little bit easy with the fuel load. Let's change the mapping to run lighter fuel, or whatever. You can sort of play with things like that. But like, it's a sprint race these days. But the difference to MotoGP, well, MotoGP is just a massive jump up from anything else, even sprint racing.
Yeah.
Like, from any series, from any jumping in that field it's the deepest, like, biggest pond out there. Like,
Yeah.
I still remember my first call up to do MotoGP, and I thought someone was winding me up, like it was Cedo Ponds, and he said to me, actually, believe it or not, we're actually on our way to Oktoberfest. Right, it was in a summer break for us, so we had a few weeks off, and Amy and I had lived in Germany for a while, and we'd never ended up going, so we said, like, let's go this year. So we're on our way there. We're almost in Munich, and Amy answers the phone. She says, "Oh, it's Cedo Ponds." I said, "Oh yeah, how's it going?" She says, "She wants to know if you want to replace Loris Capirossi." And I'm like, "It's got to be one of me mates taking the piss,
Not Cheeseburger Capirossi.
Nah.
Jesus.
Loris Capirossi, mate, the little bloke. I had pictures of him riding that Aprilia 250 on my wall when I was a kid,
Look at that, man.
And I said, yeah, that'd be nice. And he said, and I think this was Wednesday. This was the Wednesday before the Grand Prix. So before the Japanese Grand Prix it was. And as I said, I'm in Europe. And he said, whereabouts are you? I said, not far from Oktoberfest. He said, oh, we'll get to the Munich airport and jump on a plane and come over to Japan. And like, that's how that first thing happened.
Yeah, man.
And, I ended up turning up there, and, I don't know where, I don't know the track. I've never been there before. I've never ridden the Ducati MotoGP bike before.
Tough track as well. Heavy braking.
Yeah,
Yep.
heavy braking. And like, I mean, even just at the airport, like I'm at the airport and I get on the bus that Ducati sort of got for us to get to the track, and Valentino Rossi hops on.
Oh, what?
And I'm thinking, fucking hell, there's Valentino, and he sits sort of near me, and anyway, we get to the hotel. There's like 1,000 fans like at the front of the hotel, Rossi hats on and everything. And we get out the bus. I just walk straight straight through them all, get checked in nice and early, and that, you know, he's out there for half an hour signing things and whatever, and then anyway, and then he comes in. And we're still with anyone who's checked in Japan. Have you guys been to Japan before?
Never.
No, never.
Oh mate, the check-in process is hardcore. So I'm still checking in, and he comes up and he just sort of taps me on the shoulder. I sort of turn around. He said, "Oh, ciao, I'm Valentino," you know. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck, I know who you are. I said, hey, I know who you are, you know. And anyway, couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah.
Could not have been nicer.
What a legend.
Mate, top bloke. And I tell you what, he knew his shit too. Like, he knew about what I was racing and what I was doing and what I'd been testing. And, you know, like he knew a lot that was going on in the background. And, and then the next day I'm out there riding around in MotoGP, like, you know, trying to stay out of everyone's way. Like, I'm learning the track. Fucking Casey Stone is breaking the lap record on like his second flying lap or something.
You're just like, what?
Fuck, is it right over this hill or is it, you know, like, so it was deep end.
Yeah, talk about getting
for
thrown
sure.
in.
But
That's wild.
But it was unreal experience. Yeah,
Oh man,
obviously.
just the fact that he took the time to talk to you about what you were doing, like, I couldn't imagine. That must have been like a mind-blowing experience.
Yeah, it was, because I was such just a little fish in a big pond. I mean, he's the biggest star
man,
of the show, you know, and you know, and then even after that weekend, you know, we talked about things, and at that time Ducati had an open data policy, so we could look at anybody else's data. Every Ducati rider could look at any other Ducati rider's data. So I'm scouring through things at night, and we're going back and forth on things. And I was too big, you know. I mean, I got on Loris Caparossi's bike. They're peeling his stickers off, and I got on, and I felt like I was sitting on a bloody mini moto, like the handlebars, the foot pegs, and everything. Because he's
tiny.
He's tiny.
So I said, no, I can't. Don't know how I'm going to get on here. And they said, oh no, it's all right. We'll get Valentino's bars, because Valentino's pretty tall.
Yeah, he's not short.
He'd be taller than me, skinny, but
tall, super
tall. And so they, you know, so we were in contact all weekend. Anyway, Sunday night I crash out of the race because I got a hole in my radiator and spat water out. Anyway, fell down, and I thought, oh well, you know, it was going okay, but that was a good experience. I'm going to be jumping on the plane on Monday. So we just got into bed pretty much. Amy had just jumped into bed. I was about to have a shower, and the phone rings, and it's like, I said hello. He says, oh, ciao Damo, you know, it's Valentino, you know. I said, oh, how you going, mate? He says, you want to party?
No way.
And I said, oh yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, that sounds good. And I'm saying, Amy, you fucking get up, get out of bed right now, you know. And so yeah, he says, "Oh, get in the cab and ask for the." Actually, I probably shouldn't have said that out there, because I've probably given his hiding spot away.
Oh, we can bleep it out.
Anyway, you bleep that out. But anyway, he says, "Yeah, go to this spot." So we get in the cab, and anyway, he seems to know where to go, and we're getting into this seedy part of town too, and I'm thinking, it can't be. He's taking us to the wrong spot, you know. So we go in, and you know, like up a shitty staircase, you know, like you got to picture this alleyway that we were in Japan. And anyway, go into the bar. The bar area is about as big as this area we're sitting in here, right? That's it. And there's no Valentino in there. It's just me and Amy walk in, and a couple of Japanese people are in there and that. And Amy says, oh, well, what do we do now? I said, well, look, just order a beer. If he's not here by the time we finish the beer, we'll get out of here, you know? And next thing he rocks in.
Oh, no
He walks in, yeah. Nicky Hayden come in with him, Davizio. So just about half a dozen blokes.
Yeah.
Hey, you must have felt top of the world.
Dude, I mean, and he invited me, you know, and I was just like, I just thought he was just so, you know, he just elevated himself up that high. And, and we had the best night and had a great time. And, you know, and I'm just a nobody really in that space, but it was unreal. And I got to say, like, that's just a story, but every deal I've ever had with him's been like that. It might have been different if I was rounding him up.
Yeah,
you know, if I actually got that close to him, things might have changed. But in terms of how he was with me, he was just an absolute legend. Yeah,
It's amazing.
That's so good.
Yeah. top
I
bloke.
can see Daniel
speechless.
salivating right now. If that happened to Daniel, you'd be crying.
Yeah.
Oh,
You'd be
dude! As soon
crying.
as you mentioned Nicky Hayden and Dovey as well, I'm like, yeah, that's my
Karaoke,
jam right there.
Yeah, karaoke too. You know, like just getting loose. It was unreal.
Fly on the wall stuff.
Yeah, that
It
is.
was. It
Far
was.
out.
That is,
Yeah.
jeez.
So did you race at Phillip Island the week after? Or was it a couple of
Yeah,
weeks
so
after?
there's another story with that too. So like I got on the plane on Monday morning in Japan and headed home, right? And I was riding in the IDM with Yamaha at the time, and that was my paid job and the endurance, right? So I jump on a plane, I'm heading back, and then when I get there, you know, by Tuesday night, and this is back then, like they didn't have internet on the planes and stuff like that. Like, so you're out of contact for that 14, 15 hour period. And switch the phone on and my phone's blowing up and it's Ducati on the phone again saying, shit, we sort of missed you, but can you don't leave the airport. We're going to fly you back to Phillip Island because who was it? Barbara or Bautista, I can't remember.
I think it was Barbara.
Oh, well, yeah,
Yeah, I think it was Barbara.
He hurt himself, and can you fill in for him? You know, so I literally didn't leave the airport. I just got back on another plane from wherever I was, Frankfurt, I think it was, in Germany, straight to Melbourne, and got off there just in time. Like I got off there Thursday morning, I think it was, or Thursday lunchtime. Saddled up and got on the bike on Friday.
Choice.
Yeah.
So you should be in Germany with a stein in your hand.
I know.
Live it
I'm
like
just
live
like,
it
is this ever going to happen?
Yeah.
You know?
And now, your second week in riding a MotoGP bike. I mean, that would have been amazing.
Exactly. It's like they say, you wait for a bus and London buses, and then you wait all that time and then two of them come at once.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was. Crazy the way it worked out.
What's Phillip Island like as a track? Is it your favourite in the world? Is it? Yeah.
I think you'll probably get that answer from most riders.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some crackers that I've been to, obviously, elsewhere. Suzuka, for example, absolutely
big favourite of ours.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
Mate, a great circuit to ride as well. The whole first half of that lap is just sensational. There's some other really good ones for sure, but Phillip Island, there's just nothing that fast and flowing, and just the way it's all sort of worked out. I mean, like that. Some of them now feel a bit computer generated,
Yeah.
when you ride them.
Yeah, we do talk about this a lot.
We touched on that, got reamed for it.
Yeah, like
Oh, it's a fact.
the bend, for instance.
Exactly.
Good track, and we got a lot of hate for saying it was a bit of a boring track, but you can just tell with Phillip Island, it was just the racetrack was just put on a piece of land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't manufactured. It was just a person with a pen and paper.
Yeah.
And
used a bit of the existing lay of the land
Yeah,
too. You know what I mean?
right.
yeah,
That's why you get that great shot of the bikes going sideways over the top of Lukey Heights, and then that downhill into MG, and and then the way you accelerate from there into probably the best two corners, the last two left-hand corners, onto the straight and stuff. Like, I mean, that's just I don't think a computer probably would have made it the same if they'd just looked at the lay of the land there. But somehow it works so well. And
even the bikes coming over the crest on the straight, like
Yeah.
it's just and the water in the background.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good
the first time you go there, you can't see over the crest there. You feel like you're riding into the water. You know what I mean? Like, and then you come over the crest and you've got a couple of 100 meters to go before you even start braking for turn one.
That's right.
But yeah, just it's an amazing place. The only thing that shits me about the place is the weather.
I was going to say the weather.
Say
Right?
less.
Like, I mean, it's an obvious one, but like, Jesus, you can have it can be beautiful in the morning and be, shit again.
Yeah, hurricane in the
yeah.
Arvo, yeah.
Like, that's the worst thing about it. But like the actual place itself, like Phillip Island, it's so unique, and it's I know a lot of the Euro guys love it going there because of that sort of vibe you get down there. But yeah, like I wish, I wouldn't have anything against them picking the whole thing up and dragging it to Queensland or something. If you had that racetrack up there, on the Goldie.
It's interesting. It's it always throws up a bit of a strange result And I think that's they never can get in on the track. It's always either trickling rain, cold, hot.
Yeah.
They never can just do lap after lap after lap.
You're
so,
right.
Correct.
Because you Maverick Vinales win a few years ago.
Yeah.
Marquez is going to win at any
Cal
track.
Crutchlow.
Cal Crutchlow winning.
Yeah.
So it does
Remember
throw
that
up that weird
time
result.
Anthony Gobert won that
Yep.
World Superbike round
Yeah.
on the
Kawasaki?
riding the Bimota.
Oh,
No, it was
that's
the
right.
Bimota.
Yeah.
Yep.
Piece of shit it was too. Like it was not gonna do anything, and then he picked he saw the weather coming over, and I think he threw wets on. He either threw wets. Yeah, I think he threw wets on at the start, and everyone else was out there on slicks, and it just bucketed down, and he won. But yeah, like I mean, that's typical Phillip Island, and that
That's
is
right.
that does make it exciting, and especially now that with the flag to flags.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like I
good.
love the flag to flag
Yep.
rules.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I think, whenever I see one of them happening, I just rub my hands together. It probably wouldn't have been, I'd been a bit more stressful actually being in the seat, But like I even think it's good for guys at the back, like because you can take a punt.
Yeah,
you
roll
can
the
say,
dice.
yeah, exactly. Like, hey, this is a bit touch and go. I'm going to stay out here, Like that race the other weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pirro.
Pirro. Pirro was leading the thing. I was cheering him
Yeah.
on. I'm like, come on, son.
Yeah. He actually got it up. He actually went all right. Like got a pretty good lead. He was 10 seconds ahead. And I thought,
yeah.
it stopped raining now, but it didn't stop raining.
It
No,
definitely
no.
didn't stop.
But that's
Nah, he's
Japan
no
as well.
slouch.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Bradley Smith did the same thing
Yeah.
a few years back as
Yeah.
well, stayed out.
That's
and
right, that's
it
right.
almost paid off for him.
Yep.
Paid off for Binder in
Oh.
Austria.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
of the craziest races
Man,
ever.
that was awesome.
That was unreal. That was unreal. I mean, the stones that guy has
Oh,
to do
man.
that too. Like, I love Brad Binder, mate. You won't meet a nicer bloke. Either,
Yeah.
So humble and just lets his ride and do the talking.
That's right.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't hate him.
Nah,
Nah.
that's all
It'd
right.
be stupid
Nah.
if you do.
Yeah.
Nah, he's rock solid. It's good seeing him doing so well for sure. Yeah.
What do you think of MotoGP these days anyway?
I love it. I
Yep.
mean, I still love it. I think it's the greatest show on earth still. Like, it's probably biased saying that, but I just, some of the stuff I see on TV and I'm like, why aren't we getting more, credit for that? But I think it's changed a lot, obviously, like with the aero coming into it. That's probably been the biggest change we've seen in recent times,
What do you think of the aero? Do you think it's good for the sport? Do you think it's diminishing racing a little bit?
It's hard to say. I mean, you have got to remember that like MotoGP is meant to be the highest technical development arena,
That's right.
in the world. So like the technology that they develop is going to filter down onto your road bikes. You're seeing wings on BMWs,
Yeah.
Ducatis and stuff
Privileges
now.
and all that.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
like all the shit they work out there eventually trickles down to the consumer on the road,
That's right.
and that makes bikes better and safer and all the rest of it. But you have got to remember that they are running a show,
Yep.
and it has got to be an exciting show. Otherwise, people will lose interest in it.
Correct.
So yeah, I think innovation's a good thing, but I think you've probably got to limit how far you can go with it so that it doesn't spoil the show. I would encourage innovation. The first guy who come out with wings, Gigi Dall'Igna, give him a pat on the back and say, great, they're fantastic, and give him a run for them until everybody else is a couple of races in and got them on there too. But then limit how many. Now you've got thing looks like fucking Batmobile.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
with the wings on the back.
Yeah. How much he's got there. So maybe I'd say innovate, but sort of limit it so that
Yep.
it doesn't spoil racing. Like as soon as they start whinging about difficulty of overtaking, I think that's not good for the show.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to see people blazing through the back,
Yep.
making wild passes and stuff. And if that stops happening, that's not good.
We're
Yeah.
sort of going to turn into Formula One. Like
That's
that
right.
period where Formula One had that.
Yeah,
You
they'll
know?
take off at the start, and you kind of can switch off the TV.
That's right. You know who's
Yeah.
going to win.
Yeah.
We don't want that. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
that's-
But
It seems like the world of motorsport is going backwards with aero.
Yep.
You think F1, even the supercars as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously it does diminish the racing, as you touched on.
Yeah.
And we personally think it does.
yeah,
We used to see back in the good old days Rossi, Stoner passing in every second
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah.
And you don't see that as much now.
that's right.
I personally think.
That's
think.
right.
Yeah, you can tow someone you could have towed someone for a whole race and
Yeah.
back and forth. Now you got to worry about tire pressure and overheating. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It is funny. I actually heard Brian comment on the pod with you guys about the fact that it's only that now that they're aware with these sensors now that the tyre pressure is too hot.
That's right.
And I thought that's a really good point, because I mean I've definitely been in situations there where my front tyre has just gone to shit, you know, and unknown, you know, you don't know, and they've often put it down to you can get a dud from time to time in the production line. You know what I mean? Like they bake a tray of muffins, and sometimes the ones on the outside are worse than ones in the middle. You know?
That's right.
But like I reckon that probably had something to do with it. If I spent too long behind someone, and potentially they were heating up more and so on. So, but like I just feel when overtaking becomes harder, that something's got to be done straight away, because you want to see people going for those moves and making comebacks. You can't reduce overtaking. So if there's anything that takes away from that, I reckon
that's what
they've got to limit it.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on the sprint racing as well? Do you like that as an addition, or?
Yeah, it's funny because I think I said on Fox Sports, me and Kevin McGee, we like when I heard about it, I was like, it's gonna take away from the actual prestige of the Grand Prix. Like,
I think a lot of us thought that.
I'll say it. I'll put my hand up and say I was against it.
Yeah,
I was like, nah, they're gonna water down what's good about Grand Prix and everything else. And I remember even interviewing Jeremy Burgess down at Phillip Island. He said the same thing. You know, what are you going to say to your kids? You won a sprint race and all this. And I was sort of all like on his team. But then the season started, and we watched the first couple of rounds of sprint race. And I'm like, fuck, this is unreal. I mean, really.
Why were we complaining? I don't know. Why we were complaining.
Unreal.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you the truth. I'm looking forward to Saturdays more than Sundays.
I'm finding that as well.
Now, because you got qualifying, you got the jump out of, you're going to go through Q1 into Q2. So you got all that action, like, and a race.
Yeah, it's jam-packed.
Dude, it's unreal.
Yeah, Saturday's going to be huge.
I don't miss Saturdays no more. No way.
No, it's like the race is just the cherry on top on a Sunday
night.
Exactly.
So. Yeah.
Man, I reckon...
I think it's been a good move.
It definitely has. I think Phillip Island sprint race could potentially be the best of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I reckon. And that is a hard place.
Bit of rain around in the afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, we could also have a flagged flag. You don't know what you're going to get down there. You know?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing the boys at Phillip Island for sure.
MotoGP have done it so well, like with having an exciting, almost every practice session is exciting because it leads into a Q1 or Q2 spot. There's always something there. Get into the sprint race, and then obviously into the main Grand Prix. Like over the whole weekend, there's always something kind of to look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, on track there is.
Yeah.
Off track, they could probably do a bit more, in my opinion, especially out here in Australia. Like I was just explaining to you about Le Mans. I mean, just get the guys out here to go to Le Mans once and have a look at that, because there is as much, if not more, things off the track than there is on track. You know, and I think like that's why they're getting the big numbers. Like if they had more shit happening in between the track action, it would be good.
It's funny you say that. I think it was just 2 episodes ago we all went on a big rant about how I think Phillip Island Australian Grand Prix does need exactly what you said, a bit of an overhaul. With, you see Jerez, everyone partying in the grandstands. Obviously you're talking about Le Mans. I think Australia is still, I think, old school on how they have their spectators, and if everyone wants to sit on a camp chair and just drink beers all day on the fence, that's no stress. But to get the younger crowd in, they need to do what they do in Le Mans. It needs to be a bit looser. Get a DJ or something in there for the younger crowd, whatever it is. Make it a bit more fun. Make it a spectacle. Yeah,
I mean, there's probably reasons. I don't think... It can't possibly... Nobody down there hasn't thought of it. There's probably somebody who's thought of it, and there's probably a bunch of restrictions and red tape, really, to be honest. I mean, I know when I go there, I mean, I'll go into the tunnel there at Phillip Island, come into the track, and I'll park my car after being checked 15 times if I've got the right car pass, and then I've got to get to that spot and walk across the road. Now I've been doing this quite a lot in my life. Like I've survived so far crossing the road safely by myself. And there's got to be somebody there, with his whistle and whoop, and all this type of shit. And it's like, really?
It's full on.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like, over the top.
Yeah, they pull you back with the tape. Remember we had that last year. We're trying to go to the pits and
look, I mean, can't even really get mad at the guy with the whistle because I'm like, I know he's been assigned that task, but
it's the little things though.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just that's what makes it hard. And I'm
Yeah,
sure that would be. I know when we're running stuff here, so a lot of the hoops we've got to jump through to do things and that. So I think that's probably part of it.
Definitely.
But there's got to be a way around most of it, I think.
You'd think so.
Yeah,
like the F1
sure.
do it. You know,
Yeah.
obviously it's completely different, but it's still the same.
Yeah.
You know, the F1
Yeah.
still have a massive spectacle when you go there.
Go to a music festival, mate. You just
Yeah,
you want a
exactly.
music festival combined with a bike race.
And they do that at F1s. They have combined that
Yeah.
you know, that concert inside the track.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Post-race shows and whatnot.
Yeah, we had a good laugh, and it was MotoGP put up a big post. MotoGP Australia, big special guest. Okay, Phillip Island. It was Chef Miguel, the Spanish chef.
Cooking
I don't even know who that is.
Mate.
Wow.
He's cooking paellas for everyone.
What's he on MasterChef or
yeah,
something?
something, one of those. But it was like they even had people
You
commenting.
just missed the brief so bad.
so far.
Mate,
man.
tell
You
me
know?
about it.
They said, guest a Spanish superstar, special guest, and it was Chef Miguel. Like, everyone commenting things, seriously, get a live band, get an AC/DC
Yeah.
cover
Yeah,
band.
get someone.
Because we got that beautiful hill in the first turn inside.
Yeah.
Sorry, the outside of the track, excuse me. With this beautiful hill, you could have a concert on top of there. It would
know.
pump, you know?
Greenspoon, get them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Phil, he's done his bike license with me old man. He's a bike fan.
Yeah.
He'd be on it. You
Yep.
know, they get people to do it. But yeah, I'd love to see it. And like, I've got to be honest, even going back, I don't know, when was it? Was it like, so probably 15 years ago now, even back that long ago, like even Cows was different, you know, Cows
Yeah,
was like
massive difference.
unreal fun.
Yeah.
Like the you know, the parties after it and you know, the stuff they were doing in the street and this and all the rest of it, like it made such a cool atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it's been watered down
Oh yeah.
so hardcore
Yeah.
now that that's a shame, you know, because
Well, they closed the road off, and I remember being a kid, and they were doing, you know, monos up the
Burnouts.
street.
Yeah.
And now there's cops sitting there like this, checking
Oh,
like,
man, they run
almost
it here before-
decibel meters
Yeah,
on the
they do.
exhaust. Like, come on,
That's
man.
ridiculous, man.
Like, seriously.
yeah, it's
That's
they're not
Victoria.
doing themselves any favors, are they?
No,
No,
definitely
no.
not.
Nah. And being a young kid, seeing that was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be part of this.
Exactly.
And the kids now, you know,
Or they don't even, to be fair, it's not like they get the younger generation in.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's the difference, you know.
yeah, yeah.
it's the little things.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it like I said, just grinds your gears, like
Yeah.
that guy whistling at you to tell you across the street and not being at part, you know, and
It just sort of dampens the mood
Yeah.
that little bit.
Yeah.
yeah, if
Like-
they could just back it off a little bit, find some balance of like, okay, we'll keep on top of the dickheads here, but will everyone, you know, everyone
have a
else
good
have a bit of
time.
a good time?
Yeah.
I think they'd be better off, you know.
Nah, that's a
Yeah.
great point.
So, Fox Sports, how did you hear
Yeah.
that it was finishing? And we personally missed the
Disappointed.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
pre-race
disappointed.
show. Like, the last couple
forward
of
to it.
years, obviously, it hasn't, haven't had it. So,
I know.
what happened
crazy,
there? Is there
crazy?
was it just a point in time where they said no more? Or
Look, I don't know what the reason for it. Well, I mean, I don't know what the reason for it was,
Yeah.
but I just got a phone call from someone there a couple of weeks before the first round, and someone I hadn't met or talked to before, and you know, give me the Tucker Carlson, mate. I was just chopped, and it's like, right, that's a shame, and I hung up the phone, and I was telling Amy, I said, that's show's off. And then the phone rang 2 minutes later, and it was Kev. And he said, did you just get a phone call? I said, yep. And he said, so do I. So, and that was it. And he'd been there for 26 years. I mean, I was there
Wow,
for,
yeah.
I was there for 3 years, 3.5 years or something.
Yep.
He'd been there for 26. You know?
Wow.
So, so anyway, and I thought maybe they were going in some other direction, or maybe someone else was going to do it, or what, but it seems like it's gone altogether. And I think it's a shame because, like, not just the fact that I'm not on there, but like I enjoyed watching it before I was on there.
Yeah.
I never had any ambition of being on there. They invited me on as a guest once.
Yep.
And I did the show with Chris Vermeulen.
Yep.
He's great too. Like Chris
Yeah.
Vermeulen's fantastic at his job there, and and Stubbsy, Chris Stubbs, and anyway, I come back the Monday after it, and the big boss from Fox rang up and said, "Do you want a job?" And I stayed there ever since, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I never really planned on being there, but after a while of doing it, I enjoyed it. And prior to even me being on the show, what I think I liked about it was that, and I think people have got to understand, most people only tune in on the Sunday night, right? Race day.
Yeah.
I know the full fans watch every practice, Friday,
Correct.
every single lap, all that, but most of them don't. And I remember the producer saying to me at the beginning of the start of the MotoGP to reintroduce yourself again, because it's like, this is when people are tuning in.
Yeah.
90% more people tune in right before the race,
Yep.
So they would introduce us all again and all that. And I think the problem with just running the world feed is they've been talking about everything that's been happening. They've run out of they've run out of stuff to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the time you're sitting there on the grid, they're like talking about the weather and like they're just scrapping for anything they can fill this emptiness with.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with Simon Crayfar and he's unreal.
He's
I reckon.
amazing.
He's a legend.
He's amazing.
They'd be rude without him if
Yeah.
they didn't have him on there. But
Yeah.
like even Simon has been talking non-stop since Friday
Yeah.
all the way to
About the
Sunday.
same thing.
Whereas we'd come on right on the grid.
Yeah.
That's when our stuff would start. And we could just go through, right, here's the hit points, here's the highlights.
That's right.
Here's how the Aussies are doing too, by the way.
Yeah.
Now you don't get to... I mean, we've got bloody Joel Kelso there or Senna Aegis. Nobody knows what's happening.
It's a good point. I personally really like the tips. Just before the race.
I
I
love
love
that was
that.
good
That was the
one.
best.
And it was like when we got us talking as well when we watched it.
Yeah.
And between Moto 3, Moto 2, MotoGP, it was just a nice break.
Yeah.
And to see, if you're a kid watching it and you see an Aussie talking about it, you go, oh, this is a kind of big sport,
It makes a massive difference. I
Massive.
don't think people realise when you see Aussies speaking.
And now it's just on the TV,
100%.
off the TV. There's no personal thing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, if Fox Sports is listening.
And
Yeah, I know.
ex Grand Prix race winners talking about it.
Look, they might ring me up and we go back on again. And if they do, I'd be happy to because I enjoyed doing it.
From here, of course.
I enjoyed doing it from here more, yeah. I did because in the
They can bring the production thing here.
They did it. They run it over Zoom, mate. It was just like this. It was with a computer and we were running it.
Yep.
And I did it in here. And I was saying to you, like, I loved it because I just, I'd be sitting there in my pajama pants. I'd only have a business shirt on. You'd only see like that part of me, and then the race would go on, and I'd duck inside and have a quick beer, and then come back. And I think a few rounds in, I was noticing like my nose has started to get redder and redder as
we noticed.
So the red wines, and I'm thinking I better watch myself here. But yeah, no, it was good.
I have to tell you though, in COVID, it was probably the one thing we look forward to. Like the world was going mad. We weren't going to work. We weren't be able to go outside. And you knew on a Sunday night we could watch some racing. You know? That was just, it was just one thing that kept you going.
No, it was what would you have done without it? Like through that period. I'm so
100%.
glad that they got those races done, even though it was without the crowd and would have been different for it. But it would have been a strange experience going there to a racetrack with no crowd, and that would have felt like a test or something. But I'm so glad they were able to keep it going like that the way they did because it was
some great racing as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's interesting. What's your prediction for the future? Do you just see it being more of a Ducati Cup? Do you see Jorge Martin kind of taking the reins, and Marc Marquez going to possibly Ducati? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, he's going. That's done. He's definitely out of Repsol Honda. What do I think about Ducati? Well, look, I mean, you got to give them credit because for such a long period of time, they were
Nowhere.
shit.
They were nowhere.
Yeah, like it's true. I mean, Stoner jumped on there that year, 2007, smoked everyone. He probably could have done it on any motorcycle on the grid though, because he was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Motorcycle rider. Plus, they also had Bridgestones at the time. They were just coming good. Everyone else was in the old Michelins and whatever. Not to take anything away from Stoner, he was just the biggest motorcycle riding freak I've ever seen in my entire life. But yeah, and then after that, it just turned into something that nobody else could ride. And then like when you got Valentino Rossi coming across and can't ride it, like holy shit, but you're in a hole now.
Yeah.
So they have dragged themselves out of that hole, and they've eventually built the bike that everyone wants to be in. So you got to give them a bit of their time in the sun, you know, and
Yeah.
that they're having it now, as Repsol Honda did for
Correct. So
bloody
many years.
decades,
30
right?
years almost.
Yeah. So they all have their day in the sun. So, but you know, these things can change. If anyone, my biggest opinion, I think the people most likely to knock them back a few pegs is KTM, because KTM.
Yeah, right.
You know, I heard when Jack was going across to KTM, everyone was like, "Oh, that's gonna ruin it," you know. And you're thinking, look, he's in a factory Ducati team, and that the door was closing up, window there was closing up, so he had to find something. And he ended up in KTM, but that was a clever move, you know, in my opinion. He wasn't going to be able to be retained there. Mm-hmm. He had to find something else. And he went with a factory that mean business. When they go racing, look at everything they've ever raced in. They have found a way to win.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's a great point.
And you look at the strides they've made recent years. So KTM, I think, also with the backing Red Bull, they're going to be the biggest threat to Ducati's
definitely helps
reign. You know, but we need to see more of them in there. It's important that we keep seeing different manufacturers and that they're all competitive too. No one wants just one brand winning everything. It's better if they're all in the mix. But look, I don't think you can really say that at MotoGP at the moment. I mean, the whole grid's within you can be last in a second and a half off the pace.
That's right. It's tight still.
Yeah.
So it is still tight.
Yeah.
You know?
I think in Motegi there was top 8 manufacturers in the top 8 or something.
All 11 teams.
Top 11 in the teams in the top 11. So it's so open.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's perfect.
What do you think's going on with Jack Miller at the moment?
Hard to say. He's got a lot going on in his life at the moment. I mean, this time last year I was at his wedding.
Yep.
He's married Ruby, and so a big change there in his lifestyle. I've got to be honest, I haven't heard from him barely at all since.
Yep.
You ever been one of your mates at high school that got a girlfriend and they go a bit MIA for a while?
What's that called? A
warm woman
that's
over
it.
man.
Right. Okay. I don't even think I'm not saying this is her fault either.
Yeah.
But it just happens, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it
You
does.
know,
It's life.
your priorities change and so on. So I think he's in that phase, right? In the moment, he's just had a little one too. So, there's a lot going on in his life, personal life.
Yeah.
But the pressure's on. You know, when you are riding for a factory, like it or not,
You're under the pump.
you're only as good as your last race, as
Correct.
they say.
Yep.
And especially with Brad doing what he's doing, I think hasn't made it easier in terms of the people signing the checks and that. They don't really know what's going on a lot of the time.
Yes.
And they're just looking at saying, okay, so where did he finish? And then where did he finish? And
They're not looking at
that's
everything.
how they look at you. You can be the nicest guy in the world.
Doesn't mean shit.
Everyone loves Jack
Of course.
Miller
Yeah.
in the pits and in a social setting, and I can tell you a million stories about him too. He's a great bloke, but you're not there to be a great bloke.
That's
you know.
right. You've got to be there to
You
win.
are there to win. So I do think pressure's on for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Well, we want to see him get that boat.
and I hope I hope he gets it, because he did all right the other weekend.
He
Motegi
did.
is a track he likes.
Yes.
Hard braking. He's great on the brakes.
Brilliant.
Maybe to a fault. I actually think that's a lot of his issues he's having with his riding style and scrubbing off speed on the edge of the tyre and that sort of thing. But he's coming into some racetracks right now that really he likes and really
It suits his
him.
style.
Yeah, so he is coming into a bit of a part of the season that he likes. So hopefully he can turn it around, get his mojo back. And in this game, it's so much about confidence.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
It makes a world of difference, doesn't it?
It's like so much, 90% of it's between the ears, you know, as they say. So when you feel 10 foot tall and invincible,
You are 10 foot
it
tall and
helps.
invincible.
It helps in this game for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
fingers crossed he doesn't get punted off in his own corner again this year.
I know.
Far out,
Yeah.
man.
I know.
I don't know how
Out of
Alex
all people
Marquez
too,
made
man.
it back to the pits
Yeah.
alive. And I mean, that's where I was sitting there too. But we had that little studio set up right in the entry to it, and that's where the Miller family that pretty much that's about 50% filled of Millers.
Oh,
That
Yeah,
stand,
Yeah,
and they were going ape shit.
A few frothies in.
Oh yeah, exactly. And Alex Marquez had to do a swift one to
Oh yeah, shit yeah.
just to get away from it. But yeah, that was bad luck, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Especially had the corner named after him. The whole
The
Literally.
day before, wasn't it?
the whole
Yeah.
thing
Oh yeah.
couldn't have been worse.
Well, I remember watching that going, oh, God. I'm like, Marquez isn't making it back to Melbourne Airport, man.
Dude, I bet he was thinking that too. Right as he's going to slam up his ass, going, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, right before it happens, you realise, fuck.
He was so out of control, wasn't he, in that move?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's easier said than done. We're all sitting there now, like,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah,
should be done.
That's right.
You got to make a decision, almost out of instinct,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes you can't. Once you've made that decision, it's like
Gotta-
jumping a triple. I'm like, I'm either going to jump it or I'm not going to jump it. You never half jump it. So it's the same sort of thing.
You got to live with it, don't you?
you got to live with
It's
it.
racing
sometimes.
at the end of the day as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. I guess mistakes just happen. What do you think of Marquez going to Ducati? Do you think it's a match made in heaven? Do you think he's going to take over? It's an interesting one.
Yeah. Look, I think my personal opinion is I still reckon Marc Marquez is the best rider on the grid at the minute. And I think it's going to be a scary sort of thought for those guys to think of what's he going to do on that Ducati. But again, he's also got the expectation of everyone. Like, this will prove it, won't it? Like, if he doesn't do any good, then everyone's going to say, well, you know, his time has come
he's
and
done his
passed,
dash.
you know. Whereas if he does, he'll sort of, you know, everyone will say, well, we knew he was the best. He's just on a shit bike. And
Yeah, it's just on a box.
so it's going to be, like, I'm really interested to see the way that pans out. I would have preferred, you know, I don't know about the Grassini team. Like, I know Alex is riding there, so perhaps he's happy enough with the structure and the setup, and because you would think that Marc Marquez leaving would have his pick on any other motorcycle
That's
on the
right.
grid, and as it turned out, it was like the only one left. So we'll see. What I think is going to be interesting to see what he does after 2024, because at the end of 2024, he's going to come in line with everyone's contracts.
Silly season's going to be massive next year.
You know, like they're all on those deals where they end at the end of 24.
Yeah.
And you've got, I mean, KTM's got to be like, you know,
Yeah. I think that's,
reaching for him hard.
Surely
yeah.
build,
I think
Red
build a
Bull,
team
that's the
around him.
play.
Yeah.
Red Bull have got to be like salivating at the thought of having him over there. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Oh,
it's,
for sure.
Well, that's what we think is going to happen. We think it's going to be a big sign with KTM.
yeah.
And then they'll just build a team around him. Him and Binder will be an unbelievable partnership.
Yeah.
Then you'll have a Costa with
Yep.
a year
That's
under
the
his
other
belt,
thing.
you
Yeah.
know, and then you could just have that dream team of that was in the car. It was on the cards too. I reckon Everdorna giving them the places that could have actually happened. Acosta and Marquez together,
Yeah.
you know, with the Husqvarna branded bikes they were going to do.
Called that early, Jim.
Yeah.
Did you
Did
think it was
ya?
a surprise they didn't?
That was a surprise for me when I heard that, but I thought that was going to happen. And
Yeah.
I can't, to be honest, I can't really work out why Dorna wouldn't want that to happen. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's what we've been saying.
It's crazy, especially,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they tend to favourite, you know, the Spanish and
how much more
The
interest
Euros?
would that put
Yeah.
into MotoGP? I mean,
100%.
that
Yeah.
would have created a lot of hype for sure, but I don't know. Look, they must have their reasons. Like, I just can't understand why you'd limit one manufacturer. Well, we don't want any more of them. Well, you've got how many fucking Ducatis are there?
Ducatis.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I don't really. I know they're keeping space for another manufacturer, but who else can?
Yeah.
You know?
that's right.
Unless there's like BMW banging on the door or someone like that, you know, constantly trying to apply to get in, that they know they'd rather keep that spot for.
Yeah.
Hey, then by all means, if they'd have said, nah, we're going to put BMW in that place instead, I'd get it.
Yeah, that's right.
But they've just said no, and there's nobody filling the
There's
shoes.
no one else, there's no one taking that spot.
Yeah, I don't know why 2 more bikes on the grid wouldn't have been a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know BMW tried to make a play at it a few years ago. They were trying to develop for GP.
They did. I was test riding it back in 2010,
There you go.
you know.
So how far off was that then?
Well, I was riding it. I was test riding it, and that is sort of part of the reason how I got in the frame for the call up for MotoGP at that time. So I only ridden one or a couple of Grand Prix the year before in 2010, but I was riding for BMW in the Endurance World Championship, and we had a really strong team, and they started getting me to develop the MotoGP bike, and I thought, well, I'm one of their top guys in the Endurance World Championship, which was the only... They were dabbling in World Superbike and that as well at the time, but they weren't a full factory sort of squad.
No, that's right.
And then I thought, hey, if I play my cards right, I could go into MotoGP with BMW. But then there was a shift in the marketing, or somebody upstairs got a new position where they just cut all motorsport altogether overnight, bang. So our entire project went to shit. And then at that time, that was about the time when they started looking at the CRT rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember the claiming rules teams and that?
Yeah.
And then they ended up kind of, making this Frankenstein thing with the Suda chassis, BMW engine in it, and it was like wild. Colin Edwards was riding it on that forward team for a while.
Yeah, I remember that.
It wasn't.
No,
and those CRT days were...
Yeah, a bit.
they
How
were
you going?
stupid.
Yeah.
Like there was two... It was like two races in one.
Yeah, I think we said the exact same thing
You
a
know
few
what I mean?
episodes ago.
Yeah.
Like, you may as well had fucking streetlights on them and the production.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, they were just two complete different...
Yeah, I think some of the Moto 2 bikes were faster. There've been some
Yeah,
problems.
they were.
Yeah.
They would
Like,
have been.
And I think I remember riding in GP with Brian
Yeah.
at that time. And I was riding on the PBM Aprilia, which was a manufactured chassis in England with an Aprilia motor.
Yep.
And he was riding, I think he was riding an FTR chassis with a Honda.
Was that the Going Fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing that pissed us off the most was that our bikes looked exactly the same as our teammates, and the fucking teammates we had both had MotoGP bikes.
Yeah,
Like, he was-
that's crazy.
He
Yeah.
was teammates with
Alvaro, wasn't he?
Yeah, Bautista. He was up there. Like, he's
Yeah.
running top fives and stuff. And then, you're running around on a bike that, like, all the punters going, come on, Brian, Same with me. And, like, but, we were just on completely
Yeah,
different
it's
tackle.
not a fair fight.
No. That,
Well, especially the Australian Grand Prix, the Aussie punter watching the thing would be like, well, why isn't he
Why
as
they-
fast?
Yeah,
as
that's
him?
right.
I didn't get this, you know? So,
Like, I remember being at Sepang and we were 25 kilometres an hour down on top speed. 25.
dude.
two big straights.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
it does not help
that
at all.
ain't 2.5, that's 25 kilometres an hour. And slow around the rest of the racetrack as well. So it's crazy, yeah.
Goodness.
Yep.
So that's crazy. So it wasn't far off, but the rug got pulled really for the BMW.
Yeah, it's a shame. It was just a obviously a budgets thing, and somebody came in and said, "Hey, well, we're spending money on this, we should be doing it on this," and the whole thing got pulled. Michael Bartolome was going to run the project. He had run the Kawasaki MotoGP team with Gary McCoy, those days, Andrew Pitt,
Yeah.
Yep.
So, he was going to run the project. He was running
Shit.
the BMW endurance team and all of that. But as it turned out, like, that's kind of how I got that experience on MotoGP tyres.
Yeah.
And then Cito. I had ridden my first Grand Prix had been with Cito Pons in Moto 2, and he offered me the job for the rest of the year after that. But he said, "But you got to get yourself there." I said, "What am I going to get paid?" He said, "Nothing." I said, well, "Mate, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm riding for Yamaha. I got to pay rent and stuff, and I can't. I absolutely can't go for nothing." So I knocked him back, but he pleaded with me. He said, "No, people chew their arm off to have a ride in this championship, blah blah blah." And I said, "Mate, I can't do it." But I think he respected me anyway for doing what I was doing. And then they were sitting around a table. There must have been a World Superbike round on or something. They couldn't get anybody else to fill in last minute. And then going through the Rolodex and, like, I'm on the
I know.
we
a
can
guy.
call this bloke, see how he goes. And that's kind of how it came about. But it was
There
from
you go.
Cito. Yeah, Cito's suggestion of how to get me in, yeah.
So just on Cito as well, what are your thoughts of him leaving Moto 2 now and moving up into GP with, I think it's RNF next year?
Yeah. I'm not sure what he's doing there. I think he's doing something with sponsors and marketing in the team, which he's great at. Like, He's
Unreal.
brilliant, and he can sit down at any of those sponsor evening things and can just control the room. And like, you know, he's got some mojo in the.
He's been
especially
around
in
the
Spain.
guy.
You know, like he's the man. So yeah, I'm surprised that that's folded up. But you know, look, it's a lot of work, a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. Right. Maybe he's just wanting to take a lighter role. You know, look, you guys worry about the budget and stuff. Yeah. Just make sure that money's in my account, and I could turn up and drink wine in the hospitality a bit more often.
Well, 30, 40 years running a team.
Yeah, I mean, how old is he? He's got to be mid-60s or something.
Yeah.
You know, so it's probably not a bad thing to take your foot off the gas and just
enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, make sure the sponsors are happy in the hospitality. Probably a good job, isn't it? Really?
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. But no, good bloke. Cito Pons, great guy.
Awesome. Yeah. I think that's we got to catch a flight.
Run out of time.
We're running out of time.
You're gonna have to do an overnighter next time. I
think so.
Yeah, we'll have to do a part 2. That's an invitation.
Yeah. Okay. No,
we got a little something from us as well, which I'll grab.
Thanks, Tom.
Have you?
Yeah.
This is
what do we got here?
Thank you to HJC Australia for helping us out on this one.
Beautiful. Give us a look at it. Yeah, they're not bad lids, are they?
Yeah. Man, I just did a review on the Alpha one. If you haven't checked it out, check it out.
Oh, wow. I like this on the back too.
They're unbelievable helmets, man.
Look at that. Nice stuff. So what
add that to the collection.
Yeah. I want that centerpiece up there. Couple of dodgy signatures on the side.
Yeah.
Mate, you know what? I will put that up here. That's good memories. And when yous are all, got the Joe Rogan audience and stuff, I'll be able to point to it. Yeah.
There should be a little T-shirt in there as well, mate.
Yeah, one of our Republica tees.
Awesome.
You can wear that around the farm.
Brilliant. No, that's great. Oh yeah, I was awesome. I noticed those when you walked in. I thought I wouldn't mind getting one of those.
We come prepared.
I hope you got the XL.
No, we got 2XL, just in case.
Okay, you come 2XL. Fucking hell, that's a bit far, but. No, but thank you.
They're shrinking the drive.
Thank you. Okay, brilliant.
Don't say that out loud.
Beep that out.
Well, with retirement, racing and everything, a couple beers.
No, it's true. It's I'm not the praying mantis I once was. But no, thanks for coming. I've got to say, good on you. It's like, I know it's about a big day coming from Melbourne. It's got to be like a 3,000 kilometre round trip for you today. So good on you for having a crack. And like I always enjoy working with people who are out there having a go, and I think your pod's unreal. I think it's going to go places. So
I appreciate it.
All the best of luck with it.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Damien,
Thank you.
Thanks again for having us at your estate, man.
Good on you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Cheers,
Thanks
guys.
for coming.
Cheers, mate.
Good on you.
Thanks again.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.